Okay, so I am standing waist deep in the blow-up pool that my parents have bought me as a present for graduating from kindergarten. And my next-door neighbor, Randy, he's standing across from me. He's also just graduated, but from high school. And we are playing Mexican standoff. Our weapons of choice, 2 inflatable dolphins. Now, I love to pick fights with Randy because I'm in love with Randy. Because he is that handsome prince that I have been hearing about in all of these fairy tales at bedtime. I mean, he's tall enough to jump the fence between our yards. And at the end of summer, he's going to college to major in chemical engineering. Now, admittedly, my greatest achievement thus far is tying my shoes, but it doesn't matter because opposites attract. So I throw a wet dolphin slap across his face, and then I follow some jabs to his body. He counters with an uppercut dolphin to my chin, and I go sailing into the water. Now, at the bottom of the pool, everything seems just so much more magical. I watch the air bubbles that are coming up, dancing around Randy's face. I even look past him into the clouds, and they seem like they're starting to form into shapes, like my friends, like, oh, there's Winnie the Pooh, and is that Cherry from Pee-wee's Playhouse? And I decide that I don't want to go anywhere. I just want to stay underwater, and I'm going to become that mermaid. I'll be the little mermaid with the golden locks, and I will use my mermaid moves on Randy, and he's going to come down and live with me here. But before I start planning our underwater wedding, Randy panics and reaches into the pool, pulls me up by my wrist, and is like, What are you doing? You gonna try and drown or something? Yes, drowning in the sea of love is exactly what I want to do. Because the diving in is the great part. It's the coming up where you're coughing and choking. That's the hard part. The coming up part is me having to say goodbye to Randy, who is about to go off to college and doesn't come back till a year later with a girlfriend who has a double D bus line. Now, my mother is there trying to comfort me, wrapping me in a towel, and my mother is originally from Germany. Sugarcoating is not part of her world. So she tells me straight up, she's like, na, aber du weißt, Pupchen, das ist immer nur eine Metaphor. The mermaid is a metaphor. I mean, the real story is this. She gives up her beautiful life and family below the sea for falling in love with the prince. And what does the prince do? He marries another girl. And what does the little mermaid do? She ends up stabbing herself in the heart. And she turns into sea foam. Sea foam. That's not even a thing. So by 10, my mother has had enough of all of my fairy tale dreams and decides at the very least I need to learn how to swim. So I go to the YMCA. And Douglas is my instructor. Now, Douglas is the first man I've ever seen with his shirt off. And I like it. And on our 5th lesson, we go to the deep end and we dive down because he's supposed to teach me my sinking threshold. But when we get down there, I have no intention of letting him up. Because Douglas has this girlfriend named Kelly who wears a red bikini. But I'm thinking that, if he's in the deep end with me, he might never see her again and he might forget her. So I use that inherited German iron will that I have, and I just resist the pressure in my chest, and I resist coming to the surface until Douglas goes into rescue mode, pulling me up, and is like, damn, you gotta know when to come up. I don't come up for love well. So as an adult, I decided to leave all of those fantasies behind, and I was just going to go through life doing the breaststroke above water like a southern woman with her beehive. I was not getting that wet. But then this one night after a performance that I give in New York, this man comes up to me, and he's Texan. He's got that kind of drawl. And his voice reminds me of cattle drives and John Ford movies. And he's like, hey, You're an actress. You write. You got to practice. Damn. I'm just an actor. But, could I take you to dinner, ma'am? And I can feel the old lady inside of me who's like, watch out for my hair, watch out for my hair. But I'm not going to let this go anywhere. I give him my number, whatever. A few days later, I'm at the gym, I'm working the elliptical machines, and I'm watching the TVs, the 20 TVs that are across the ceiling, and on 5 of them, the Texan appears. Now, I switched the channel on the elliptical on my headphones just to that point where he says to his bikini-clad co-star, "It's hot as hell in here. I think I need to cool down." At which point, he rips off his shirt, throws it at her, and exits, to then have his pants come flying over to hit the bikini-clad co-star. We cut to commercial, I fall off the ellipticals, and I realize that my Texan is a soap opera actor. And then he reappears after the commercial, wet and naked. Now, I'm not talking porn naked, I'm talking daytime TV naked, but you would be surprised how naked that really is. And I start to cover my eyes because I don't want to know, but I want to know, but I don't want to know. And we end up getting together for a while, but I keep my beehive intact. I got 1 minute. And we're a little more happy than we ever expected to be, but I'm not falling in love. And then 2 months later, he tells me that his job is moving him to Los Angeles, which I think is funny because we're in New York. Oh. Right. So we decide that we're going to go on one last road trip, and it's Christmas, so he's going to drop me at my mother's before we go west. He goes west to Los Angeles. And day 2 on the road trip, we are stuck in a blizzard in Staunton, Virginia, and we have to go into the Andrew Jackson Hotel. And in that hotel room, that's when I realize I'm in love. I realize that I'm in love as he's giving me head. I'm not saying it's because, I'm just saying it happened during. I'm also kind of prone to nosebleeds in winter. A few sneezes later, I'm experiencing a gusher, and he kind of raises his head, and he's as if to say, like, is there something wrong? And I'm like, don't worry, just keep going. Because I am, after all, a New Yorker. Like, I can have a minor emergency and an orgasm at the same time. 2 hours later, we are in the emergency room where he's lifting me up, officer and a gentleman style, to say, can we get some help in here? And I'm worried that he's not going to be there when I get out for a nosebleed. But he is, and we drive back to the hotel that afternoon, and we keep going all the way to Los Angeles. Thank you very much.